am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me, as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. And I lay down my life for the sheep. This Sunday, the fourth Sunday of the Easter season, also has an enduring theme. Kind of like that second Sunday, where no matter what lectionary cycle we happen to be in, we're always going to get the same gospel reading. It is always going to be Doubting Thomas. The third Sunday of Easter, there's a little variation there, but it's always going to be a secondary resurrection appearance. Maybe it's going to be the road to Emmaus. Maybe it's going to be how he's known to us in the breaking of the bread. Or maybe, like last week, he's no ghost and watch him eat a piece of fish. The fourth week, however, we've gone right back to a singular theme. No matter what year we're in, there is a feast and a festival to mark on the fourth Sunday in the Easter season. It's not coming from the same gospel. It can come from any number of the Gospels. The readings aren't always the same because it can be pulled from a lot of different locations. But every single year, the fourth Sunday of the Easter season is always Good Shepherd Sunday. Good Shepherd Sunday. And we will get shepherdy readings, sheep-oriented metaphors and stories. The fourth Sunday of the Easter season, we will be reminded year after year after year after year that He who has taken on our life and our flesh and our problems and our pain, He who, though He was without sin, took the sin upon Himself, He who suffered on the cross, died, was buried, and on the third day rose again, He who appeared to His disciples, still bearing the wounds of the cross, but now glorified for all eternity, He is our good shepherd. And we sheep might follow where He leads the way. Every year, doesn't matter. Fourth Sunday, Good Shepherd Sunday. And I've always found that to be kind of a funny commemoration. Not because it's a bad metaphor or it's a weird illustration. Over 100 times in the Bible, well over 100 times, the work of shepherds is referenced. It's one of the most popular illustrations given about the role of God, the nature of Christ, all of these things, again and again and again. People will refer to as God like a shepherd. People will refer to Jesus as a shepherd. Jesus will refer to Himself as a shepherd of we, His sheep. So in one sense, it works perfectly well to have a day like this. In another sense, it is the churchiest day you can come up with. You might as well just call it Churchy McStained Glass Day, because Good Shepherd Sunday, only the church would come up with that. And only the church would still use it. It is just not a popular metaphor outside of the church. We rarely go through illustrations on day-to-day life that have nothing to do with the church. I, for one, don't actually know any shepherds. I'm not sure I've ever met one. I own no sheep. I've seen a sheep, maybe twice. I've been to a petting zoo. But really nothing in my life is oriented to an agrarian society where your wealth was measured in your flocks and herds. By and large, my guess is few of us have much practical experience with shepherding or even with shepherds. What must have once been a real hot job, real popular and happening vocation, has sort of fallen out of favor. And by and large, we just don't have much personal experience anymore with the work and the life and the metaphors surrounding shepherds and sheep. And yet you can't get away from it in the Bible. Shepherd, 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 sheep, sheep, sheep. It's there from beginning to end. And so we've preserved it for things like today, where we would actually celebrate a Good Shepherd Sunday to remember this particular illustration and metaphor. Outside of the church, they don't shepherd nothing. It's just one of those things we don't talk about anymore. We don't work with anymore. And so it's out of sight, out of mind. For someone outside of the church, if they hear shepherd, what do they think of? The church. Nobody else is talking about that. So this might be seen as kind of a very insular thing, kind of an inside story or an inside joke, and you have to be kind of the in crowd to get it because nobody else will or nobody else wants to. Preserving, though, a Good Shepherd Sunday, preserving this metaphor, this image, this illustration of shepherds and sheep, is this something that's just pointing to the modern irrelevancy of the Bible? You know, if the Bible talks about shepherds over 100 times and nobody's even seen a shepherd maybe for most of their life, then isn't that just kind of more evidence that the Bible's like really out of touch and really out of date, and it's this old dusty book that just doesn't talk about things that are relevant to me here and now? Isn't it kind of anachronistic to be talking about shepherds and sheep and using these as illustrations and metaphors as though people knew what in the world we were talking about? Oh yes, well in the sheep that I had last week, I noted that nobody knows that. So is this just more proof that we're referring to something that was best kept on a shelf because it refers to things that nobody else knows about anymore? It's fallen so out of favor that it's just this anachronistic bunch of nonsense that we repeat to each other, but nobody else gets it, nobody else understands, and it doesn't mean anything to anyone outside of the church. It may be because, as I've confessed, I know next to nothing really about shepherding or sheep. I mean, I know there must be people out there who do, but I'm not one of them. And frankly, I would hazard to guess that few of us here know much about the subject other than what we've heard in sermons. Maybe the odd documentary on TV. And yet, this Sunday is still preserved for this particular metaphor and this particular illustration. Of all the things that Jesus could have used time and again to refer to himself, to his ministry, to his nature, to his relationship with us, time and again he chose a shepherd and sheep. Does that point to how irrelevant Jesus and the gospel are? Or does it point to something else? Those of us who have perhaps been raised and grown and experienced life without understanding sheep and shepherds, that we are the ones who have missed out, and we are the ones who need a Good Shepherd Sunday to remind us. You see, my guess is when this was an agrarian society, in the times of the Bible and in the early church where people did know lots of shepherds, they might have been shepherds themselves and there were sheep all over the place, they got this stuff. I mean, they got it like that. It didn't take any explanation. It didn't take any preaching. They understood almost intuitively by what they saw day after day about the nature of sheep. Sheep aren't very bright, and sheep wander away, and sheep will get in trouble, and sheep need somebody to kind of keep things together, to protect them from predators and outside forces, and to make sure they don't wander off and get in trouble or get hurt or get lost. And periodically they do get lost, and you got to go hunt them down and bring them back. Sheep aren't very bright, and they'll graze and graze and graze, and they'll strip the land bare, and they'll starve themselves unless a shepherd keeps leading them to where the green grass is. They probably got that just because they saw it all the time. Didn't take any explanation. It wasn't a stretch of a metaphor. It was common sense that we were sheep and God was our shepherd, because we too need somebody to protect us. We too need somebody to provide for us and lead us to where things are safe and where there's grass and there's water and where we're supposed to go. They saw it all the time. It's part of the reason why it is a metaphor used so prevalently throughout the Bible. But for us, those sheep, few shepherds, it takes a little explanation, a little unpacking, but I think we are the ones who need this day more than they did. To be reminded of the fact that even today and even now, we can be in the 21st century and we are still sheep who need a shepherd. You ever been lost? Not know the way to go? You ever wander off? You just kind of had your head down doing your own thing, and by the time you looked up, you didn't know where you were anymore or how you had gotten there? How did things get the way they were? How did it get this bad? How did I go so far? You know anyone who's ever strayed? Who needed some help? Getting back home? Getting back to where they need to be? Are there any dangers out in this world? Anything you need protection from? That you want your families, or your friends, or your kids protected from? There may not be wolves prowling right outside of that door, but aren't there things in this world to be scared of? What about your needs? Physical needs. Needs beyond the physical. Don't we still need to be cared for and sustained? Don't we still need to be provided for and fed, watered? Don't we periodically still need somebody to come and find us and bring us back, show us the way home? This is not a dusty metaphor, whether or not we have practical experience with sheep. We have practical experience with life. We're given this metaphor because it's always true. And we are always in need. Like sheep, all we have gone astray. It's true. Little ways and in big ways. All we like sheep have wandered off. Sometimes just around the corner, and sometimes so far we have no idea how to get back. All we like sheep have gotten ourselves in jams, stuck in problems, on the edge of something dangerous, or with a wolf creeping ever closer. We still need somebody to look after us. We still need somebody to protect us. We still need somebody to keep us safe, and provide for us, and help us with the things that we need, and to keep us all together, and to lead us the way home. We all need a shepherd. Even now. Even today. Good Shepherd Sunday isn't for hundreds of years ago when everyone had sheep or everyone knew a shepherd. Good Shepherd Sunday is for us here and today to remind us that we still need a shepherd. And we need him to be a good one. Not the hired hand who's just doing this for a paycheck. Where if you get yourself into a jam or you wander off, it probably ought to be within business hours 9 to 5 on weekdays, because otherwise, oh, I'm home. I'm sorry. I'll see you again on Monday morning. But we need somebody who's going to be there for us, we can depend on, who's going to protect us and care for us, anytime, day or night. Any day, weekday or weekend. Somebody who's not doing this just to punch a clock. Somebody who's doing this out of love, out of care, who says, you are mine and I am yours. And I will take care of you. I will provide you. I will lead you, and when you wander astray, I will seek you out and hunt you down to bring you back home safe and sound. It's not an old, dusty metaphor. It's true today. It's not something that should be stuck in a book on a shelf or anachronistically reserved back in ancient history. But it is ever true and evergreen, ever present and needed right now in this place with all of us even today. I need a shepherd. You do too. All we like sheep have gone astray, and we need somebody who knows the way. We need somebody who knows the way. When we get to Good Shepherd Sunday, it is very common to have a particular song appointed for our day. Now, the lectionary doesn't mandate which Bible translation you have to use. But when I get to the 23rd Psalm, I just don't really want to hear, "The Lord is my shepherd, I don't need anything." That's not how it goes, right? I mean, we kind of know how it goes. Pretty sure this is the way Jesus said it. As churchy as Good Shepherd Sunday might come across, if people know anything about shepherds who have nothing to do with the church, or who will only darken it under this one occasion, this is what they know. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures, he leadeth me beside. People who won't say a maketh or a leadeth to save their lives, who have never used thee or thou or thy in any kind of conversation, you tell them, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil," and they know, for thou art with me. My rod and my staff, they comfort me, because they know it is seeped down into our bones. It lives there in our bloodstream, deep within our bodies. The 23rd Psalm given in the King James Version, we just kind of know it. We can't get away from it. And again, whether you would never come to church on a Sunday morning, you know this. Why? Where do they hear this? Where do they come across this? It's not born within us through genetics. We always hear this when? At a funeral. Funeral. Everybody's going to a funeral. Everybody will go to one, even if you haven't been. It is the common experience of humanity, right? That there is a conclusion to our mortal life. Everybody dies. Everybody knows someone who has died. And virtually everyone has been to some kind of service where we remember someone who has died. You give a church service half a chance at a funeral and they will put in the 23rd Psalm. You give them a quarter of a chance and they'll do it in the King James Version. And so people know this. They know it. I think they know it because it's another one of those indicators at how important, how lasting, how relevant, and how critical it is for us to actually have a shepherd. It is the common destination of all humanity that there is a grave for each and every one of us. A truly great unknown. A valley, the shadow of death, dark, mysterious, frightening. Don't we want a guide? Don't we need a guide? Aren't we desperate for someone who knows the way? Who can lead us in the direction that we ought to go? Showed the 9 o'clock service, the tom-tom I pulled out of my car. This is the original one that I got for my wife several years ago, and she has since upgraded. She got the big, really nice new one, and so I'm stuck with kind of the lousy, crazy one. But periodically, I'll turn it on, I'll open it up, and where am I going? Or if you have a tom-tom, or maybe Garmin, or perhaps you have the tendency to ask Mr. Google, which way to go. You've perhaps noted, if you know the area, if you know the context, that GPSs, though they are full of helpful information, are actually quite stupid. They know way more than I do. But if you actually know the lay of the land, you've seen a GPS plan some ridiculous route that will take you around and through and all these other sorts of things to save you like a tenth of a mile. That there's a kind of a commonsensical and easy approach, but it doesn't know that. It's just a machine. So it runs through all the permutations of all the maps. And if it can save you 10 feet, it'll take you through this crazy way and all the stoplights and everything else. But if you actually knew what you were doing, you would know better than to follow. This one GPS in particular, I've had moments where I've been quite concerned that it was either possessed or vindictive. On at least 3 separate occasions. I kid you not. It's told me to turn right, then to turn right, then to turn right, then to turn right. Right back to what? Why would you do this to me? And regardless of it being advertised as having unlimited or lifetime maps, I regularly find myself on a road with asphalt under my tires that it shows me in the middle of a field or a swamp. Yet, when we're troubled, when we're concerned, when we're nervous, won't you pull this out? Won't you see what the TomTom or the Garmin says, whatever product you use? Won't you ask Mr. Google? And follow that map with a faithfulness and devotion that would make a preacher blush. Trust in this. Oh, please don't get me lost. Anything that you say, I will return. Okay. I just don't know where I'm going. Please help me know the way. To be in a funeral, to hear these words, it's like that GPS. It's like that comfort that we're craving, that hope that we desire and long for. Something or someone outside of us knows the way, knows the answer, can point the right direction, and won't lead us in the wrong path. Won't take us down a dead end. Won't leave us lost and alone and in darkness. During our burial liturgy, we've gone through the whole thing, and it concludes in this church itself with a final prayer referred to as the commendation. The commendation is commending this life to God's almighty care. It's kind of this last moment where we say, Lord, here is this person whom we've known and we love. Care for them and love them and dwell with them now and for all eternity. We commend them to your care and your eternal presence. Listen to this prayer. The clergy have gathered around the body are there with the remains. Into your hands, O merciful Savior, we commend your servant. Acknowledge, we beseech you, what should that person be referred to? All the things that you could do. All the ways you could describe them. Their relationship with God. Their nature, their life. Acknowledge, we humbly beseech you, a sheep of your own fold. A lamb of your own flock. A sinner of your own redeeming. Receive him into the arms of your mercy, into the blessed rest of everlasting peace, and into the glorious company of the saints in light. We need a shepherd. Even now, even still, we need a shepherd. We are sheep. We don't know the way, and we need a shepherd. It's not an old, useless, or anachronistic metaphor. It is the truth and hope of what we need right now for each of our lives. When we go astray, when we wander, when we get lost, when we have a need, when there's a danger, we need a shepherd. We need someone who knows the way, someone who has gone there already and has now come back for us. Someone who will seek us down and hunt us out and bring us back into the fold. Someone who will make sure that we are led beside streams of living water that can quench us for good and for all eternity. Someone who can lead us to a peaceful pasture and meadow where the grass is evergreen and we are provided for now and forever. Someone who, even at the conclusion of this mortal life, where we might be tempted to fear, as though we were walking through a dark and desperate and deathly valley. Someone who has a rod and a staff, with strength, with power, who cares for us and loves us, not like a hired man, but someone whom we belong to. And someone who we can trust, not to take us in a circuitous route, lead us down a dead end. But someone who can and will keep us safe, protect us, provide for us, and lead us home. That's why we have Good Shepherd Sunday, because we still need a shepherd. And we have one, a good one. He is Christ the Lord, who loves us, who knows the way through death and claims us as his own. Better than any GPS, more knowledgeable than any TomTom or Garmin, smarter even than the best of Google Maps. A good shepherd to protect, to provide, hunt you down, seek you out, and to lead you through this life and in the life to come, safely back home, where goodness and mercy shall follow all the days of your life, and through him you might dwell in the house